Hey everybody, in this video we're talking about what I learned from my failed marriage. 3 tips that can help you have a better relationship. And these 3 tips, when I've been applying these 3 tips to my current relationships that's 4 years long, and that largely has me in stepmom role with 3 kids and helping with that. And with all of that, these tips are prevailing, right? That situation can be so complicated. And these tips have really helped my partner and I and us as a family come together. And so tip number 1 is this one I learned actually from Dr. Bruce Chalmers. I was saying something similar to this, but I really like the way that he distills this, which is tolerate annoyances. So by this, what I mean is every human's going to annoy us. You spend enough time with every human, you will probably find something that annoys you, right? So we have to begin to understand that and think like in those moments where you might feel annoyed about this thing and you wish your partner would do that thing different, or the way they say this or the way they act in that scenario, the more we can begin to just kind of rest in the fact that it is not abnormal to be annoyed sometimes. It is actually completely abnormal to be annoyed sometimes. And the more we can just kind of keep ourselves calm, self-soothe, bring yourself into the moment, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground. Like the way we self-soothe in these moments is really to use our senses. The more we are listening to the sounds around us, feeling our breath in the lungs, feeling our feet on the floor, which sounds so like rudimentary in many ways, but what we're doing is we're telling our nervous system that we're here in this moment and we're not running from a tiger. It's literally from a standpoint of keeping our nervous system calm when we are feeling those annoyances. And then once we practice that skill, those annoyances, as long as they're minor, if you're the annoyances I'm generally talking about here are like the ones that are like, well, I don't like the way they do this silly thing, or maybe when they help clean, they do it in that way, or I don't like that thing they always say in regards to this, or, maybe they don't make the bed the way that you like, or, these small things, right? And if we can stay in that safety and calm zone through that, and that allows us to tolerate those annoyances and get out of that reactivity or that frustration over these really small things. Everybody is going to annoy us sometimes. And I think sometimes it's like, oh, wow, like if I was with somebody else, like they wouldn't annoy me. And that might be true. Like they won't annoy you in that way, but they'll find a different way to annoy you because humans, we annoy each other sometimes. It's just part of it. Okay, tip 2. And remember, at the end, in addition to these 3 tips, I'm going to tell you one of the most profound ways I have found to understand men and women and their differences and to fall in love with male or female partners in a completely new and profound way. So make sure you stay to the end to get that after the tips. So tip 2. So here's the thing. The dishes are always going to be there, but your sexual spark, if you don't put time into it, it won't. And of course we can get it back, but it is essential to prioritize intimacy in life. Even if you're at a point where you're not really that interested in physical intimacy, or I should say sexual intimacy, I would still encourage you to work to get it back because those hormones of intimacy are so amazing, but still physical touch. Even if we're taking the sexual touch out of the conversation, which I really would encourage you to put it back in, but even the physical touch, right? And the reason for this, there's so many reasons for this. One, we see couples that play together stay together, meaning the couples that report the happiest in their relationships are engaged in sexual intimacy on average about 50 times a year, just less than once a week. Right, we see that couples that report the most bonded, they even talk about their sex life. And this is because sex and sexual intimacy literally rewrites our brain. It's changing our dopamine response. It's changing our oxytocin. It's helping us bond. It's helping us sleep better. It's helping us feel close. And we can tolerate those annoyances a lot better when we have all of those juicy chemicals. I remember in the new relationship experience, new with partners, hardly anything annoys us, right? It's hard to get annoyed when like all those juicy chemicals are going. So that's important because once those like chemicals of the new relationship energy fall naturally, if we don't do something to keep that sexual spark alive, to keep those chemicals going, it's another reason why those annoyances are sinking in. So tip 2 is you have to make this a priority, no matter like how much overwhelm and all the things. It's kind of like the conversations on meditation. A lot of the conversations and the research on meditation have shown that, hey, if you take time to meditate, your brain works better, you actually get more done, you're more efficient. So in taking 10 minutes to meditate, you'll actually get more than 10 minutes made up in efficiency. And the same can be said for intimacy. When you are so bonded, when you're taking the time to prioritize that, it does take time, but so many other things get better from it, right? Relationships get easier to navigate, fighting gets less, annoyance gets less. There's more calm, there's more reserves, all these things. So it's like one of those things, going to the gym, these things that like take energy, but they pay you back in dividends. So tip 2 is we got to prioritize it. The dishes are still going to be there. Your sexual spark won't. Tip 3, maintain curiosity. This is through sexual, this is through physical and beyond. So many times in decades of being with somebody, we start to think that we know them in every way. And of course we do. But there's so many different ways to explore and to think about it. And of course, we're not spending every moment together. And sometimes we forget to ask questions and be curious because we just think we've already covered it all. So if you're stuck here, I really encourage you to look up intimacy cards and get like a deck of intimacy cards, which are cards that are in like a spur conversation. So there are a wide variety in these types of cards. There's a wide variety of sexual or non-sexual prompts. It could be, what is your favorite moment we've shared in bed together, right? It could be some other question about like where, if you had all the money in the world, and no responsibilities, where would you want to go? If you had nobody could ever be mad at you, what would you want to do, right? So there have like these questions, and oftentimes I've seen that when people engage in questions like this and spark the curiosity, it opens up the conversation in a new way, and the game is never continued in many scenarios because the trajectory of the conversation just takes off in its own. And those are 3 tips that I just see so much in my relationship as well as in people I educate and couples I work with that really are helping to make that passion and that interest and the lack of fighting and the closeness and the strength of the relationship, the longevity, the marriage, the commitment, whatever it is, to really, really continue. So now I want to tell you about the way that I have best come to understand men and women. And it's actually been through the work of Alison Armstrong, who has courses on understanding men and women. And one of the things that she really helped me understand is the different ways that estrogen and testosterone impact the brain. So for a more estrogen dominant person, she has more of the blood flow to the brain that is going to make her brain light up in different ways. So this is why women historically can be so good at multitasking, where they can hear the baby crying, they can be having a conversation, they can be cooking dinner, they can be folding the laundry, and they can be doing all these things, versus a man, which the blood flows to the brain in a much more linear way, in kind of a compartmental way. And this allows the man's brain to be extra focused. And so this is the classic thing around like, oh, man's watching a game and woman is trying to get a hold of him and he doesn't even hear her. And so this can be very frustrating, these kind of scenarios for women, or like women leaves trash by the door and expects the man to carry it and take it with him on his way out. And he just walks over the trash and goes to work. And she's like, what the heck? And so we can make up all these stories. But the more we begin to understand that the way that the male brain actually functions and processes the world is actually so much different than the woman's. We begin to communicate with each other in different ways. And instead of leaving that cue by the door, it's actually saying, honey, hey, I'm really wondering if you can do this. And you know what? He still might miss it sometimes because he's so focused on getting to work. But instead of getting mad, we understand, oh, his brain works differently. And then the conversation changes to, I'm so mad. I feel like I'm doing everything on my own, which can happen in the female brain. It becomes a conversation of curiosity around like, I know you love me. I know you want to help. I know you want to provide this for me. And the way we're communicating is not working. So, having a lovely conversation on like, how can we form a system that's going to work with your brain and my brain so I can get my needs met and you get to help provide, support and love and all these things that make me feel so good. But how can we work together on it so that nobody is getting emasculated, nobody feels bad, and we're not feeling separate from this? So this was like mind-blowing stuff. And that's just one little example of how it can apply. But huge tips in this. And so I hope this has been helpful. Please do share this with a friend if this has been helpful. Please do subscribe to the channel if you want to get more content like how to talk to your partner, how to have more novelty, how to have more fun in the bedroom, how to be more connected, how to have more things that will help you feel healthy as you age, how to have better sex, and on and on and on. Remember, you can go to hotterlife.com to get my ebook for free. My ebook is called Revive Your Love Life, 5 Easy Steps for Mind-Blowing Orgasms and Romance. That is for free at hotterlife.com. I'm Dr. Diane. Ciao for now.